Good morning, everyone. My name is Maya Luria with TMC for Seniors, and this month is all about brain health. And I have Mary Mellady here with me today. She is the Director of Connected Health and Wellness over at TMC. She's also a registered dietitian. Mary does a lot of great presentations for us all about our nutrition. And so we've asked her here today for Eating for Brain Health. So welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Maya. Good morning, everybody. So as Maya said, we are going to talk a little bit about eating for our brain.
And before we get started on that, I do want to let everyone know, if you are looking for Amanda Freed's presentation this morning with the core, you can find that over on our TMC Facebook page. I do have it scrolling at the bottom here. It is just under Tucson Medical Center, so feel free to watch Amanda's presentation there. You may also see her presentation afterwards on the YouTube page once it is uploaded. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So there we go. All right. So let's start talking about how we can make our brains healthier by what we're eating. The bad news is there's no magic bullet. I hate to tell you that the supplements you see in the store that say this is for your brain, that's gonna do it for us and we're all gonna have excellent memory, or that is going to assure us that we will keep our brains healthy. We need to do a little bit more work. The good news is that eating for good health is really exactly what we need to do to keep our brains healthy. So if we're eating in general a healthy diet, that's good for our brains, good for our hearts, and good for our bodies. So what is a healthy diet? Just said we need to eat a healthy diet to keep our brains healthy. It's composed of real foods. When I say real foods, I'm thinking of things that I can automatically recognize when I see a picture of them or when I see them. So we have this beautiful, colorful picture of fruits and vegetables and grains. I know what's in those. I know that that's a real food versus a package of something. I'm not sure what might be in something that's labeled a keto bar or that's labeled a healthy, heart healthy muffin. I don't know what's in something like that without doing a lot of reading of small print. So we want to try to eat a diet that has more real foods in it than processed foods, things that are in packages or boxes. We want a healthy diet that is full of colorful. Think about eating the rainbow. We want greens. You can see in this picture, we have broccoli and we have some peppers and we have grapes. And we want reds, peppers, tomatoes, things of that nature. We want oranges and we want yellows and we want whites. We want to eat a whole rainbow of colors, okay? And so if you think you're eating a healthy diet and you think about the fruits and vegetables you're eating, if you realize you're only eating bananas or you're only eating oranges or you're only willing to eat lettuce and nothing else, that's not as great of a variety as that we should have in our diet in order to make sure we're getting all the nutrients we need. A healthy diet also contains whole grains. And this is something I talk about a lot, is that so many people think that grains are bad. We've heard that carbohydrates are bad for us, and that we shouldn't have any carbohydrates, any breads, any starches, including grains. And that is a fallacy. We need grains in our diet. They are an important source of B vitamins. They're an important source of energy for us. They are an important source of fiber for us. But the key is whole grains, connected to the concept of real food. We don't want grains in the form of chips. We don't want grains in the form of processed pasta dishes or boxed rice meals. Okay, so we want whole grain foods. Healthy diet also includes healthy kinds of fats. So there's a picture here. All of these are healthy types of fats. So when we talk healthy fats, we're talking about fats that are generally liquid at room temperature. So this is a picture of an olive oil bottle, but it could also be canola oil or some other type of vegetable oil. We like olive oil. We like canola oil because that's a one type of oil. It's not a blended oil, so it can generally be a little bit purer. And so that's healthier for our hearts. And when it's healthier for our hearts, it's healthier for our brain, is if we have those foods that are oils that are liquid at room temperature. And the caveat there is at a normal room temperature. I understand that sometimes we can leave butter sitting out or coconut oil sitting out on a very, very warm day in our home and it becomes liquid. That doesn't count. It is in its natural form. Butter and coconut oil is solid. Other healthy forms of fat come from nuts. So we're seeing almonds here. We're seeing pistachios and walnuts. There's actually a lot of good research attached to walnuts and lowering the unhealthy cholesterol in our blood. And then we also have pictures of beans. Beans have a little bit of fat in them, but they're also a great source of protein. And so we want to focus on how we're getting that protein. So there's these nuts and the beans and the fish. Protein foods generally have some fat attached to them. Beans, very little in comparison to nuts and other animal proteins. So where can we find some healthy sources of protein that also have a healthier form of fat in them? And so that's why the beans are there. That's why the fish is there. Fish is rich in omega-3 fatty acids, higher in the poly and monounsaturated fats, and a little bit lower in those saturated fats that we might find in other animal proteins, such as beef, when we see the white fat around the edge or the marbling in beef, that is saturated fats. So those are the unhealthy kinds of fats. Also included in a healthy diet is that we are limiting things that can be detrimental to our health, such as sodium. So salt can be problematic for some of us. It may increase our blood pressure. Higher blood pressure ranges does have the potential to cause or be linked to some unhealthy brain events, such as like a TIA or a cardiovascular event. We want to limit added sugars. Again, too many sugars in our diet tend to increase our weight, tend to be hard for our heart, increase our risk for diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. Limit our alcohol. A lot of times we read information that that links wine or beer to being good for our heart, that they're heart healthy, that there's some pieces and parts of the alcohol that might help to improve our heart's function and hence our brain. Those two are linked. I keep talking about heart, but it's really linked to our brain, where the heart is pumping that blood up into our brain. And so we need that smooth blood flow from our heart to our brain. And so keeping our heart healthy keeps our brain healthy as well. But so back to the alcohol, even though wine and beer is often linked and said that can be heart healthy, that is if you are currently drinking already alcohol. If you are not currently drinking alcohol, it is not healthier to start, okay? But if you are drinking alcohol, it is in moderation, and beer and wine do have some properties to them that can be beneficial to our heart health and our brain. And then eating reasonable portions. Again, a lot of chronic diseases or a lot of things that are coming to light about the link between how healthy we are, our brain, our heart, and our body in general is all linked to having a healthy weight. So eating reasonable portions is also important. All right, so benefits of a healthy diet. Giving your body the nutrients it needs. Ultimately, food is medicine. Food is also to be enjoyed, but we want to use it so that we can keep our bodies healthy. We want to use it so that we can do the things that we want to do when we want to do them, that we aren't limited because we don't have the energy or because our joints aren't mobile enough to do what we want to do, because we feel unstable or because of anything else that could be related to not eating a healthy diet. So eating a healthy diet gives our body what it needs to do in order so that we can do what we want to do with our bodies. So we need those vitamins, those minerals, and those antioxidants to heal, to rebuild, and to keep things healthy. The omega-3 fatty acids, a lot of information. I'm sure you've all heard this. It's pretty old at this point that we know omega-3 fatty acids is healthy for our heart and for our brain. There has, and I think I talked about this in the last presentation that I did, there is some research that is stating that the supplements, the omega-3 fatty acid supplements, don't have quite the same beneficial effects as if we were getting the omega-3s from real food, such as the fish. Okay. Probiotics and prebiotics. There's a little bit more to come in that in later slides. There's a lot of linkage, more and more coming out about having a healthy gut means having a healthy heart, a healthy brain, helping to reduce our risk for diseases, helping to reduce symptoms of autoimmune diseases. So keeping our gut healthy by eating pro and prebiotics in the forms of yogurts, or whether it's, a sauerkraut or a kombucha type thing, but a fermented type of food, that leads to a healthy gut. Eating a lot of real foods, fresh fruits and vegetables, fiber, all helps our gut to be healthy. And less of the salt, the sugar, and those unhealthy fats. Okay. All right. And eating a healthy diet helps us to achieve a healthy weight or maintain a healthy weight. For some of us, we might be struggling to achieve a healthy weight. We might be on the high end. As we age, we know that our appetites change, our metabolism changes, our body composition changes. So depending on where you are in the age cycle, we might need to focus on reducing the number of calories that we're eating and the portion sizes that we're eating, so that we're not eating too much for our bodies. We also may need to focus on eating higher protein foods for a period of time, because we might be at an age range where we might be losing muscle mass, and we want to help it by eating a higher protein diet. We might need to focus on other types of things specific to our diets, depending on what disease processes we might have going on. So avoiding or helping to manage chronic disease conditions. And then eating a healthy diet helps to maintain a happy gut microbiome, which I already started talking about. What is a microbiome? Okay, so here we go. It's the bacteria, it's the fungi, it's the viruses, it's the other microorganisms that live in or on our body. And they are with us, and they move in with us when we're born. It increases during our first 3 years of life, and then it develops and changes and grows and builds all the way until we're in adulthood. The richness and the variety and the diversity decreases as we age. So it builds up, and then it starts to go down. Okay. And as it decreases, that's why as we age, we see we have a little bit more issues and a little bit more issues. We may not be able to tolerate certain foods, or we may have problems that we didn't notice before with foods. So your gut microbiome can influence your overall health, including your brain. There's a study in mice that suggests that having a healthy microbiome in our gut may protect against brain decline in MS, and also, again, damage from strokes. It may also play a role in our cognitive function too. We're seeing a lot more research about the link between Alzheimer's, dementia, and just overall memory function as it relates to our gut. So we know our heart keeps our brain healthy, but now we also are finding more and more that our gut helps to keep our brain healthy. So your diet can help to impact the microbiome in your gut. So, all right. So there's correlations between altered gut microbiome in populations and neurological conditions. It's not a proven causation. It's just a link right now. And there is a possibility that stress might also alter our microbiome. And again, these studies are all still pretty new. I just pulled a study yesterday morning about gut microbiome and rheumatoid arthritis. So there's more and more stuff coming out about autoimmune diseases as well as chronic conditions, heart and neurologic conditions related to our gut. So we just kind of have to keep an eye on that as we learn more. So a healthy diet is a healthy habit. So on this picture, again, we're showing a variety of colors, a variety of sources of healthy types of fats, of grains, fruits and vegetables. You'll notice at the very top, I believe that might even be a picture of some healthy oils at the top there. What else can we do to keep our brain healthy? Obviously, activity. I love to talk about activity and how that connects to our diet. Medicine, or I'm sorry, I said food is medicine. Well, so is activity. Activity can help keep our joints mobile, can help to strengthen our muscles so that we can do what we want to do. It can help teach us or train our brain with balance, which as we age, balance is a big thing that sometimes limits what we may choose to do or not to do if we might be concerned about our balance. Sleep, getting enough sleep is important for everybody in all age ranges. Unfortunately, after we get out of high school or college and we don't sleep in till noon, I have teenagers, they sleep till noon or 1, that we're not very good about sleep and we have so much on our plate. And then as we age, we start to have a harder and harder time sleeping. So it's really important to make a conscious effort about your sleep patterns and your habits. What are you doing before you sleep? Are you eating right before bed? Not good. You want to make sure that you're not eating for 60 to 90 minutes prior to when you want to go to sleep. Are you exposed to blue light? So are you watching TV? Are you looking on your phone? Are you looking on a tablet? That blue light can affect our ability to go to sleep. Are we having anything with caffeine or alcohol? That can interrupt our sleep habits if we drink that too close to sleep time. What's our environment around sleep? Is our room dark? Is it cool? Is it decluttered? All of these things can have an impact on how well we sleep at night. If you're having problems sleeping, that can be a whole another talk about sleep, but there's a lot of information out there about that. Stress can impact our brain health. If we are worried about things, that is not good for our blood pressure if we're constantly stressed. So having good coping, good stress management strategies, whether that's meditation, whether that's activity, whether that's social connections, all of those are good ways to mitigate and manage your stress. Creativity, we know that being creative helps to stimulate our brain. Things, I know we see a lot of engaging things for our brain, like the Sudoku or word puzzles or other kinds of games like that really engage our thought process. But being creative also engages that brain and keeps it active and keeps it thinking. So whether it's painting or whether it's just coloring, adult coloring books are big still. So think about ways that you too can be creative. That might be gardening. That might be rehabbing an old piece of furniture. Creative. Okay. What doesn't work? So I already kind of talked about the supplements when we started talking about real food supplements. There's little or no solid research that any of these kind of brain smart memory formulas work. Again, I referred to that some of these vitamins, specifically the omega-3s, don't necessarily act in our body the same way as it does when it comes from real food. And then there's the resveratrol and the ginkgo Not a lot of good studies yet or ever about that is going to improve our health. I'm not saying anecdotally that hasn't worked for some people, hasn't helped. So if that has helped you, that's great. We just don't have any research around those two. All right, so remember your healthy diet, eating real food, foods that you would recognize, that your grandparents would recognize. Pretty sure my grandparents would not understand why there is a cereal called churros. There is. So real foods. We want to eat a lot of color. We want our food to be beautiful. We eat with our eyes in addition to needing all those colors for all those nutrients. Eating a beautiful or seeing a beautiful plate of food makes our meal even more enjoyable. I mean, just think about it. If somebody presented you with a plate that was all white, if you had white potatoes and white fish and a slice of white bread, not to say that the white fish isn't healthy or that the white potatoes couldn't be healthy. That's very bland. It's not nearly as appealing as if you had a beautiful pink piece of salmon with green and red steamed vegetables and a brown rice. You get a variety of colors there. So think, how can I make my plate beautiful by adding all of these colors? Choosing whole grains. So when we're talking whole grains, I'm thinking like the brown rices, whole grain pastas, whole wheat breads, things of that nature, things that haven't been processed. Pick your fats wisely. We want to choose the healthy kinds of fats, those that are liquid at room temperature, the olive oils, the canola oils. Use those solid fats very sparingly and more for taste and flavor enhancement than anything else. Coconut oil has wonderful flavor when used to saute vegetables, but it shouldn't be your primary go-to fat. And it also shouldn't be eaten straight out. Coconut oil is great for your face, for your nails, for your hair, but not good for your insides too much. And same with butter. Don't put butter in your hair, that's bad. But butter has a nice flavor to it when you're sauteing a fish or something like that, but you're using that very sparingly just for the flavor enhancement, not as your primary cooking oil. Don't forget those lean sources of protein, whether that's from animal source or non-animal source. We do need protein in our diets. As Americans, we eat enough protein in general. We don't eat enough protein from fish sources, though, to get that omega-3 fatty acids. So if you do eat animal sourced protein, try to include a fish at least twice a week. Okay. Watch your salt and your sugar intake. The labels have changed in the last year and a half. So now we can see what is added sugar to products versus what's there naturally. A good example is in yogurts. A lot of yogurt is really dessert, just disguised as yogurt. So look on your yogurts that you're choosing and look to see what is sugar that's naturally there, such as something like a plain yogurt versus some of these other flavored or dessert type yogurts that have a lot, probably double the amount of sugar that's just added in there. And then eat mindfully. So meaning we've talked about eating mindfully for years and years and years, but it's a good reminder that we want to pay attention to what we're eating, that we want to focus on our meals, that we want to make that an event, that we don't just want to eat and graze and not pay attention to what we're eating, because then we're more likely to make poor choices, to eat too much, and not really enjoy what we're eating and not really paying attention to when we're full or the items that we're eating. Okay. All right. So I have questions and thoughts. So I don't know, Maya, if you get like a feed of questions or.
I do have a couple of questions. Thank you, Mary, for that nice overview of nutrition. So one of the questions that came in was, can you explain more the difference between a probiotic and a prebiotic?
So a prebiotic, and I have to give the caveat that this is not my expertise, is the gut health. So I apologize. But prebiotic is a form of food or something that we're eating that feeds that the probiotics And then the probiotics that live in our gut are keeping us healthy. So the pre is feeding the pro.
Okay. And then I had another question come in asking about fruit. And can you eat too much fruit a day? I know there's a lot of natural sugars in it, but, if somebody really loves fruit, is that something that would be okay or not?
Well, that is going to be, I would say, yes, you can, because of the fact that they are higher in calories than vegetables are. So when we talk about eating a variety of vegetables and fruits and eating half your plate of produce, we really encourage that to be vegetables because they're lower in that calorie content. So that's the only negative of eating too much fruit, is that higher sugar content equals higher calories. And so if you're eating 6 servings of fruit, you're probably eating close to 600 to 800 calories in fruit alone.
Okay. So really it's best to have both spectrums.
Yep.
The fruit and the veggie. Now, what about the other question I had was sort of about dairy, because we didn't really discuss dairy today.
We didn't.
And is there specific dairy that you sort of recommend? Obviously, dairy may be higher in
Right.
calories and fat, but how about, I know there's so many different dairy options out there.
So we recommend that if you are able to eat dairy, meaning if you're not lactose intolerant or if you don't have some other medical reason not to eat dairy, that dairy is a good source of protein because it also has the calcium, it has the vitamin D, but we want it eaten low-fat versions. So there's a lot out there about whole-fat dairy is so healthy for us, and that's not our stance yet at this point as a community of dietitians. We still want you trying to drink the 1% or skim milk, choosing the low-fat or no-fat yogurts. Same thing with cottage cheeses. So dairy can be a great source of protein for us, but we want to watch how much fat we're getting from dairy, because some of those dairies, that's a saturated form of fat, especially like in the cheeses. That's a saturated because those are solid.
And Mary, what about if somebody isn't able to have milk, but is looking for that dairy, maybe a dairy alternative, whether it's almond milk or soy? How do those compare?
You're just going to have to kind of, because a lot of them have been fortified. So you kind of have to look at what product, and it's got to be kind of your preference. So perhaps, so if you have a nut allergy, obviously the almond isn't going to be right for you, nor is the cashew milk, but then you might choose the soy. But if you had some sort of cancer that is related to, that's like an estrogen positive cancer, then we don't want you drinking the soy. So it's very kind of dependent. It's very individualistic, kind of, I would have to say. But what you're looking for is you're looking for whatever product you can tolerate, whether it's a nut-based one or soy or rice, that's going to give you the most protein that you can. And if there's the option to have vitamin D, calcium in there, that's also best.
Great. Okay. And then let's also just talk, I know coconut oil, coconut milk has been very, very popular. So I know you spoke a little bit about coconut oil, but what's your feeling on all of the coconut products that are out right these days?
I would have to say that I still don't think that we should be promoting, they shouldn't be a main staple. Coconut sugar is kind of a thing. It's still sugar. Sugar. Coconut milk doesn't really have any additional nutrition to it that you wouldn't find. I mean, if you can drink dairy, we still want you to drink the dairy over the coconut.
And coconut water, right? Because I think I've seen a lot of coconut water out there.
Coconut water has some potassium in it and some other minerals like that. But most of us don't need that extra boost unless you're out walking in the desert and it's really hot.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, that is all the questions that I've seen come in today. I want to thank you for being here, Mary. It was so great. We do have you scheduled for next month as well during our Mental and Emotional Health Month. So we hope everyone will join us again. This week, please watch on Thursday. We have the ABCs of Stroke coming up with Dr. David Teeple. So please feel free to join us then. He will be on at 10 a.m. on Thursday. And then we have a couple of presentations coming up next week as well. Always feel free to give us a call in the office if you have any questions. The phone number is 324-1960. Thank you all for being here today.